Uh,
Hello,
hello.
hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Hi, hi, hi. Welcome.
Welcome to the Shaman's View.
Hmm. We have a
Mm,
beautiful afternoon here in Greece. We're in the Peloponnese, in the center of the
mm.
mountains. After spending 2.5 months on sailing boats in the islands, now we're in the center, surrounded by mountains.
Yes. Today we're going to share the Shaman's View from St. Francis to Don Francisco. And we're going to get a chance to hear Ray's journey as he moved from being a fashion photographer to opening the school of the Jaguar Path and becoming a shaman, being
Hmm.
initiated and asked to share this wisdom. To share this wisdom as a bridge between the Q'ero nations, this ancient wisdom from Peru, to the modern world. So I've got my coffee. Uh, Feel free to sit back and relax. And I will say, as I get ready to listen, I love listening to Ray share. As we began, we had cats come around. We just had this beautiful dog. I don't know if she's going to come back. A little dog came over. We could hear the sheep in the distance, the roosters in the distance, and the church bells are just ringing. I don't know if you were able to hear that. And Saint Francis is a saint of animals and loving animals. And I just really feel his presence with us today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I feel his presence every day, and especially today because he knows we're going to be sharing with all.
Mm.
If you have any comments or any questions, that we could see. So, where these comments are they in Facebook or are they?
They're in
How do they
Facebook,
show
they're
up
in
over here?
YouTube. We'll get them here. And I was just going to say, good to see you, Chris.
There you go.
If you send a message, we'll just know that you're with us. And it's always nice to feel the community. And really, wherever, if you even want to just share where you are in the world, it's always nice to feel the light connecting and uniting as we all come together in this sacred time. Thank you, Chris.
Welcome, welcome all. So, I'd love to share my story and my experience, I should say, about Saint Francis.
Mm.
As Nina mentioned, and as some of you may know, most of you probably don't, I used to be in a previous lifetime, in the 90s, a fashion photographer. Actually, my call to fame was being a Vogue photographer doing Vogue covers. Um, and I was just steeped into this work. And actually, if anyone knows what fashion and advertisement photography is like, it's a very engaging kind of
Mm.
lifestyle. When it's really a very competitive profession, so you don't get a break. You don't get a break of an hour, or else you're
Mm.
out. So for over 20 years, I was really steeped into this. Behind that, I mean, I originally started as with love for photography. Little did I know that photography and advertisement and fashion photography are all different things. Nonetheless, as a 18-year-old, I went and studied photography, cinematography. I had this love for art, um, and I grew up and I was raised in a I don't want to say an atheist family, but definitely a religious family. We never went to church. My parents didn't take us to church, except for Easter. That is, here in Greece, Easter is celebrated by all, but it was more like a tradition rather than a religion.
Mm.
Um, so years later, within this profession, and in my late 30s, I think this profession, the drive, the huge budgets, the constant deadlines upon deadlines, um, drove me into tremendous stress,
Mm.
and I think that stress was a big part that drove me to have cancer. So at some point, what seemed to be out of the blue, I was diagnosed with cancer. I was diagnosed with bilateral renal carcinoma that had spread to my lungs, and they said to my lungs and liver. So it's kidneys, lungs, liver, and the doctor said to me, "This has happened years ago, and Now we're catching it. It's kind of way too late.
Mhm.
I won't dive too much into that, but I will say that good morning, Sheila. Good morning. So good to see you. I won't dive too much into the detail of all that, but what I really want to share today is in that despair that I felt when I was diagnosed, right? My son was, oh, Reverend Julia, my love to you and Charles. Thank you for joining us. I'm so happy you're here today with us. In my despair, I heard this voice inside me that said, "You're alone." But let me pause here because didn't believe in I didn't have a belief in God or anything specific or any religion. But I'm going to go a little bit further back, and I'm going to say that, hey, Tammy, welcome, my sister. I'm going to say that while I was a photographer, someone told me that there was an amazing professor visiting from the University of Vienna who, by the name of Dr. Arland Kaiserling, who had gone around the world and studied with Sufis and great shamans around the world. And the workshop was about that, Sufism, spirituality, and shamanism. And I went. I thought it would be interesting enough, and I went. Bridget, Eric. I went mostly out of curiosity, and there during the weekend workshop. This is 1995. This is close to a decade before my cancer diagnosis. I participated in what seemed interesting enough. It was called the Shamanic Journey. So Dr. Kaiserling said, "I will lead you through the Shamanic Journey." And hello, Amanda, as he had us close our eyes, he led us into this path, and there we met with someone, and that someone was our spirit guide. And I saw this someone in a brown robe and a rope around his waist, and he said, "Ask this person, who are you?" So in my journey, I asked the person, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am Saint Francis." Kaiserling, who was leading the journey, said, prompt us to ask him, well, what will you offer us? Will you help us? And so I asked this person, Saint Francis, who I didn't know anything about, and he told me that at the end of your life, when your life ends, I will offer you a new life, a new home, a new profession, and a new country. And then Kaiserling prompted us and said ask, how will I know it's you? And he said, oh, I will know. You will know me by my name.
I got chills. I just got chills. I know the rest of the story.
So there you go. I'm going to say 95, maybe 94, 1994. This all ends, the weekend ends, and I just jump back into my very, very busy photography life, my extremely successful career. An extremely busy life, and I think nothing of it.
And I just want to say this was before digital, right? So he was still getting film developed and trying to get the film developed correct, like, and zipping across on his motorcycle through Athens to get it to developed, and then to get it to the people in vogue. And I mean, just to hear about it stresses me out. Sorry but I just have to.
Jack, my brother, welcome. Yes, very stressful in so many different ways. But long story short, I totally forgot about this. I just totally forgot about it. That didn't fit in my life. I didn't have any space for that at all. So I go on, and 2003, I am diagnosed. I feel this absolute aloneness. The voice inside me said, well, you don't believe in anyone. Hi from Magulia now. We're in the village across the other mountain. That is so sweet. I can literally see the other mountaintop where Magulia is. beloved ones. And for those of you who are really listening to the story, I'll bring it home and say that I decided to leave Greece when I got that diagnosis. I decided to leave Greece and to go and search for shamans, healers, miracle workers, a voice inside me said to me that I need to travel. A sentence out of a book of Carlos Castaneda that I had read 20 years prior to that, a conversation between Carlos Castaneda and his teacher, Don Juan Matus. Don Juan told Carlos, when death knocks on your door, change your address.
Great
And that
advice.
sentence just popped up in my mind. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, now I know what this means, because I really wasn't sure what that even meant when I was reading it in my 20s. So here I am. I'm changing my address. I'm traveling through Mexico. I'm traveling through Peru. And as I am in Peru, hey, Jessica, welcome. As I travel and I arrive in Peru, someone told me about this wonderful shaman, and I should meet with him and work with him. And here I am. And I'm telling the shaman, can you please help me? Can you please heal me? I have cancer. I'm dying of cancer. And the shaman said, I can't heal you, but I can train you to become a shaman and you can heal yourself. And he said, follow my way.
Mm.
And I hit me that second when he said, follow my way, that this shaman I was talking to was Don Francisco. And when he said, follow my way, I had this, like, my brain was spin all the way back to that day, to that journey, the shamanic journey that I thought, well, it was an interesting thing of Don Francisco, of Saint Francisco, Saint Francis talking to me and saying, you will remember me, you will recognize me by my name. I will attest and say, to my opinion, Don Francisco is a saint. He's a living being, living saint, a living light of kindness, of love, of welcome cat, of love, a living being of sweetness. And I had realized that he was embodied by Saint Francis in my heart, in my eyes. And what happened through this is that I was open to spirituality as I grew as from an a religious family, very spiritual family. I have to say this, a very spiritual family.
Yes.
You get a religious. I couldn't connect with anything that was church or anything that seemed to be a saint or something like that. But that, just the whole not connecting, fell apart. And I realized that spirituality is something we have inside us. And I realized that St. Francis was a beautiful being who just loved life in all its forms. He was the shaman of the animals. If he wasn't a shaman of Christianity, I don't know who it was, because he did the power animal work, right? He worked with animals like the shamans. And that opened for me. And years later, I don't know if my brother Olympus is with us somewhere there today. I said, follow this spiritual path that I'm leading you through. Emmy, it's so good to see you. Follow this spiritual path. And he said, just give me a moment here, Ray, because I'm a recovering Catholic. And I said, oh, that's perfect, because I was a recovering atheist. So no matter what we're recovering from, whatever it is that recovering or that keeps us at bay from spirituality, spirit is what is within us. Spirit is the spark in your eyes. Spirit is the electricity that allows you to speak, the electricity within your body that allows you to speak, to look, to hear, to smell. And for those of you who know, upon my return from Peru, someone suggested that I go to this awesome, amazing yoga center, Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health, which is perhaps the biggest, maybe, yoga center in Northern America.
A gift to us all.
In Massachusetts, a gift to many people.
Yeah.
And as I went there, I came to the back of it to overlook the pond, the lake. There's a Stockbridge Bowl, and there I looked, and there was this big statue of Saint Francis. And sure enough, Saint Francis was there again, and he gave me a job. He gave me a new home. as I went there for a weekend workshop, I left 15 years later because St. Francis was there, and I just turned around and went and found the dean of yoga at the time there, and knocked on his door, and I said, "Could I work here?" And it was just probably so bold of me that the dean of yoga laughed. Devarshi, thank you so much.
What a gift.
Thank you, Devarshi.
Oh.
May St. Francis bless you. So there is a part of us that is always connected with spirit, no matter what we think, what we rationalize for, no matter how we want to call that, it doesn't matter. It is important for us to, I feel, to in order to connect with the most inner part of our own self. When we do that, we're connecting with spirit. And there's a wholesomeness that comes. There's a power that comes from that. Since then, I remember walking back from later from the mountains of Peru. I found myself in the jungle of Peru with an amazing teacher, Maestro Panduro, who was an ayahuasquero, a jungle shaman, a medicine man. He took me to his house or hut, and he was wearing this baseball cap with Mother Mary, the Madonna of Guadalupe. And when we went into his house, he took off his cap and he put it on his altar. And I noticed his altar had a Shiva from Hindu mythology, a Hanuman, Ganesh, had a jaguar skull, had another Christ, another Mother Mary, and several other figures that I didn't recognize that were all gods and goddesses and of different religions. And I said, who do you believe in? And he looked at me and he said, "You have only one God?" And he just kind of like pitied me on that. And there's a great realization in the way that we live our life, the way I live my life, and the way we live our life. Our altar has 20 gods and goddesses, angels, archangels, animals. There's a spirit world that that humanity connects with, and for the shamans, there is a relationship between humans and gods and goddesses. We co-create each other. There, according to the shamans and according to Hindus also, I'm sure in many ways to all religions, the gods and goddesses, the saints, if you want, also are in this stratosphere. They're in this spirit world, and they're here with us at all times. Your guide spirit, and for me, it's Saint Francis and Hanuman, the monkey god, and Christ. They have his name in many ways. They are always with me, and they guide me, and that doesn't make me, I say I don't know if I'm religious or not, because I believe in all religions, so I don't know if that makes me religious or totally not religious. But what that means to me, and I hope to share through this story with you, is that when I caught on to the fact that Saint Francis walks with me always, I found myself, and I find myself never alone. Through the biggest difficulties in life, to the biggest happiness in our wedding, St. Francis was there, and dogs and cats are around us as they're hearing St. Francis appear. The beauty of life is that that is how we mix them. They mix themselves. There is a big mix of gods and goddesses, and what happens there, I want to say, is really, really important. That life becomes more real, that we're not alone, and we realize something that is of bigger importance. Because I feel that in the modern world, what's happened is we moved away from nature. We moved away from our own nature. And in the world of technology, we've moved away from believing in spirit. And humans or industries or technologies are becoming bigger than spirit. And that leaves us and many people alone. And I invite you to find that saint that you feel that can really support you, and open a personal conversation, open a one-on-one conversation. You don't need anyone to be there as an in-between person.
And as Ray is sharing, I think I know for myself, I can think of those moments in my life along my journey. It's like, think of it's like the universe winking at me. It's like these moments that you may not pay attention to fully as it's happening, but then in retrospect, as Ray's sharing his journey about how these synchronicities can arise, and feeling into what is spiritual for you. What is spiritual for you? And the biggest finding that I would say for myself as I've made my way through, starting as a child, I was kind of sharing with Ray. I love the Serenity Prayer. I never realized the Serenity Prayer was from Saint Francis. And if you're familiar with the Serenity Prayer, Lord, please grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Such a powerful prayer that Francis shares with us. And as we feel the strength and the courage and the wisdom grow, these seeds that we harvest, that we nourish, feeling into every moment of each day, the practice of kindness. Can you be kind even amidst difficulty and challenging moments? Can you maintain kindness in your heart for yourself, compassion, forgiveness, non-judgment? Can you express that? Oh, good to see you, beautiful Sunny. Can you express that to others? Can you have the strength to hold your tongue when you maybe don't have anything positive to say? And can you just bring a smile? I was sharing with my beloved Aiel the other day. We were talking about just bringing the smile and the tip of the tongue to the upper palate. We not only does this stimulate the stomach meridian and help us digest food, but it helps us digest difficulty in our life. And if you're just sitting with someone, they feel that sweetness, that kindness. And so Ray and I love to share these deep wisdom practices. We will be in the States. We'll be leaving Greece in just under a week. We'll be at Stoneweave Studio. Amanda, thank you for sharing the link with all of us. If you are in the area of New York, it's actually relatively quite close to Kripalu, where Ray and I have this beautiful thread of our life, of our journey that continues to weave. We look forward where we met.
Saint Francis took care of that too.
Yes, and I was so curious of who is this, and I didn't know who the statue was, and then Ray shared with me because I had sat outside that same spot looking over at the lake and loved that statue. But Kripalu is in our hearts. And so if you're able to join us in New York, there's limited space. I know there are still spaces available. It's in the Hudson Valley. It is stunning. There are these amazing quartz rocks that just emanate bright light, love, just awesome, awesome mountain air. Thank you so much, Amanda. So we'll be in person for the first time in the States in it's been 3 years.
It's 3 years.
So we'll be coming to share that. We have a lot of love to share, a lot of joy, and we're going to be diving deep. We have some deep practices. If you want to feel a shift energetically, physically, spiritually, please join us. We will be sharing our most current, our most recent active practices that we're doing daily. We'll be sharing those with the group. And I also wanted to make sure everyone knows that we have our 9-month training in energy medicine and energy healing and the Inca shamanism. We do it every year. Ray's been kind of tuning and fine tuning this curriculum that he developed with the shamans over 15 years ago. We begin November 19th and 20th. We have an early bird discount that ends tomorrow. And if you are interested in doing the training with us, please check it out. This is a really unique, very unique experience. And we'd love to have you with us. So if you take a look, please email us at evolve@jaguarpath.com and we can make sure that we make it possible for you. We would love to have you with us. And before we close, I wanted to end with a quote by St. Francis that I feel is just the essence of shamanism. And a shaman is a seer. Shaman is someone that can manifest the energy in the untangible realm into the tangible. So this, the unmanifest into the manifest. So St. Francis shares with us that in life, if you're feeling difficulty, if you're getting up at the beginning of your day and you're looking for how to show up for yourself, for others that you love, and just in general for the world, Start by doing what is necessary, then what's possible. And suddenly you are doing the impossible. That is a gift from St. Francis to all of us. Thank you so much, Amanda. This will be in the comments, so take a look if you'd like. This is in the comments for everyone to look at. And I wanted to end with that quote because St. Francis is a shaman. Don Francisco is a shaman. Ray Christ is a shaman. And each and every one of you are shamans. And if that word doesn't really work for you, then just know that you are a human being, and a human being has the ability to make anything happen.
Is exactly that.
Yeah.
Is exactly that. You're a manifester. And
Yeah.
I'll just add and say that the 9-month training, it has
We
come.
love you, Nancy. Right back
you,
at
Nancy.
you.
The 9-month training, if any one of you are from the 9-month training, you want to offer 3 words of what it was for you as a graduate, I'll just say that I began the making of it 18 years ago as I was pushed, invited, and kind of pressed to teach from Don Francisco himself, and said, now you have to teach it. You can't be selfish. What you're learning and all your healing that you're absorbing, you can't just keep for yourself. You have to heal it. And in essence, also to keep the healed state of being, you have to share this. Everything you know, you have to give to others. So it's like passing this love through me that keeps me alive, that kept the cancer at bay. And it's 9 months, the design of it. Is thank you. It is a life-changing training, as some say. And the idea is that it is 9 months of a gestation, the 9 months to rebirth. So we do 9 weekends. We meet 1 weekend a month. And in these 9 months, we get to heal mind, body, and spirit. We shed things out of the body. We change the way we think, and we aliven our spirit, and we live in spirited life. We see how we can really make the magic happen. And thank you all for your kind words. It's been and it continues to be the most beautiful thing in my life, in our life.
Thank you for sharing it with us all.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for helping and for being there, not for helping, for leading it, as you all may know now also. May St. Francis be with you, Jessica. He is already. So bring it home. We'll say that it's about being spirit. And I'll close by saying this one thing that changed for me. And what does it even mean to be spiritual, or to walk with St. Francis, or walk with Hanuman by my side, or Mother Mary, is that when this beautiful company came around me, and I live with them, they live with me, and something happens in life, someone says something that doesn't work for me, it's the wrong moment, or it's the wrong thing. I don't know if that ever happens to you. Someone just says something that feels hurtful, or they do something, or they don't say something, or don't do something they were supposed to. Now I can receive it and say, well, how would St. Francis respond to this? How would Hanuman respond to this? How would Christ respond to this? Because this is the company I keep, and it's not about how I would. There's no being a victim or being a victor anymore for me, but rather living life with others and that experience. And exactly like you said, when things happen and there's some sensation, I want to say something, I invite the tip of the tongue to my upper palate, and the pituitary gland, the saint's gland, and a gentle smile through the edges of my lips, and I inhale. And there I notice what is happening to the other person, because what people will say or do, it's not about you, it's about them.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us for the Shaman's View again. And we will be back live next weekend. We will be in the States at our beloved Bridget and Eric's home. Thank you for welcoming us always.
Thank you, amazing allies.
We will be sharing from New York, from the Hamptons area, and so much more to come. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful sacred Sunday. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, all of our beloveds. We love you so much.
Thank you all. Namaste.
From our hearts to
Looking
yours.
forward to be in the
Mwah.
States.
We love you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Blessings.
Bye.